3 months passed after the Velkorian fleet left. Life on Earth changed in ways nobody expected. The enhanced abilities Earth gave humanity did not fade away. If anything, they grew stronger. People were still faster, smarter, and more connected than before. Captain Jin now commanded the newly formed Earth Defense Force. He coordinated military operations across the entire planet with perfect efficiency. His mind could process thousands of tactical situations at once. But he never forgot that this power came from Earth. He remained humble and grateful. Commander Hana led the Space Fleet construction project. Engineers like Leah worked under her direction to build ships unlike anything humanity had created before. These were not just metal vessels with engines. They were living machines, grown from Earth's materials and infused with planetary consciousness. The first ship took only 2 weeks to grow. Leah watched in amazement as the hull formed itself from crystallized minerals drawn up from deep underground. The ship looked organic, like a giant sea creature made of metal and stone. When she touched it, she could feel it thinking. The ship was aware and eager to fly. Pilot Day was chosen to test the first ship. He climbed into the cockpit and immediately felt the connection. The ship became part of him. He did not need to push buttons or pull levers. He just thought about where he wanted to go, and the ship responded. It was like having a second body made of metal and energy. The test flight exceeded all expectations. Day flew from Earth to Mars in just 3 hours. Normal ships took months to make that journey. The Earth-grown vessel moved through space like a fish through water. It was fast, graceful, and absolutely under his control. Dr. Sora continued her work as Earth's voice. She spent hours each day in meditation, communicating with the planetary consciousness. Earth shared its knowledge slowly and carefully. Too much information at once would overwhelm a human mind. So Sora learned piece by piece, question by question. She discovered that Earth was not the only awakened world in the universe. There were others scattered across the galaxy. Most were still sleeping, waiting for their species to reach the right level of development. A few had awakened before and protected their children just as Earth protected humanity. But Earth told her something troubling. Most planets in the galaxy were dead. Not dead as in lifeless, but dead as in never conscious to begin with. Only 1 in a million worlds ever developed awareness. And many that did were harvested before they could wake up. The Velkorian Empire had killed thousands of potential awakened worlds over the centuries. They drilled too deep, took too much, and destroyed planetary consciousness before it could fully form. Earth felt great sadness about this. It wanted to help those worlds, but it could not leave its own solar system. Sora brought this information to Prime Minister Tay and the World Council. They discussed what it meant. Earth had given humanity incredible power, but with that power came responsibility. They could not just hide behind Earth's protection. They needed to use their gifts to help others. Tay proposed a bold plan. Humanity would become ambassadors for awakened worlds. They would travel the galaxy and find planets on the edge of consciousness. They would protect those worlds from harvesters. They would help them wake up safely. It was a dangerous mission, but it felt right. Jin approved immediately. Hana started preparing a fleet. Day volunteered to lead the first expedition. Leah designed new ships specifically for this mission. Sora worked with Earth to learn how to detect sleeping planets. But first, they needed to deal with the Velkorian Empire. Word of Earth's awakening had spread across the galaxy. Dozens of alien civilizations now knew that humanity lived on a conscious planet. Some were curious. Others were afraid. A few saw opportunity. The Velkorian High Command sent an official delegation to Earth. Not to attack this time, but to negotiate. Thexlon led the delegation. He had been demoted after his failure, but the Empire trusted him because he understood what Earth was. The delegation arrived in a single small ship. Thexlon and 5 officers stood before the World Council in Geneva. For the first time in Velkorian history, their warriors came without weapons. Thexlon bowed his head, a gesture that meant submission in his culture. He spoke honestly about the Velkorian Empire's crimes. For thousands of years, they had harvested planets without understanding what they were destroying. They had killed worlds that might have awakened. They had prevented consciousness from developing across the galaxy. He admitted this was wrong. But he also said the Velkorians wanted to change. The vision Earth showed them had broken something in their society. Many Velkorians now questioned their entire way of life. They wanted to learn a better path. They wanted Earth to teach them. Tay looked at Jin, who looked at Sora. Sora closed her eyes and consulted Earth. The planet's response came quickly. It remembered the violence but also recognized genuine regret. Earth believed in second chances. It would teach the Velkorians, but they had to prove they meant their words with actions. The Council agreed to a treaty. The Velkorian Empire would stop all harvesting operations. They would help identify planets that might be awakening. They would provide their vast knowledge of the galaxy to help humanity's mission. In exchange, Earth would teach them sustainable methods to gather resources without harming worlds. It was not a perfect peace. Many humans still hated the Velkorians for their invasion. Many Velkorians resented taking orders from a species they once considered primitive. But both sides tried. That was what mattered. Other alien civilizations took notice. If the mighty Velkorian Empire made peace with Earth, then Earth must be incredibly powerful. Diplomatic ships arrived from dozens of species. Some came to offer friendship. Others came to study humanity and their awakened world. A few came to ask for help. One delegation came from a species called the Minari. They were peaceful traders who lived on a network of space stations. They had no homeworld anymore because it had been harvested 300 years ago by the Velkorians. They wanted to know if their planet had been conscious. Sora consulted Earth about this. The answer made her cry. Yes, the Minari homeworld had been awakening. It was about 1,000 years away from full consciousness when the Velkorians killed it. The Minari had lived on the surface of their parent world without ever knowing it loved them. When Sora told them this, the Minari delegation wept. They had lost something precious without even understanding what it was. Earth offered them comfort through Sora. It said their world's final thoughts had been love for its children. It had tried to protect them even as it died. The Minari asked if they could help Earth's mission. They knew the galaxy better than humans did. They could guide humanity to planets that needed protection. Tay accepted their offer immediately. The Minari became Earth's first alien allies. More species joined over the following months. A coalition formed around Earth. Not an empire built on conquest, but an alliance built on protection. Different species working together to save awakening worlds. Hana's fleet grew rapidly. Within 6 months, humanity had 100 Earth-grown ships ready to launch. Each ship had a mixed crew of humans and aliens. Day trained pilots from a dozen different species, teaching them how to connect with the living vessels. Leah developed new technology by combining Earth's gifts with alien knowledge. She created sensors that could detect planetary consciousness from light years away. She built shields that could protect awakening worlds from harvesting equipment. She designed communication devices that let different species share thoughts directly. Jin coordinated everything from Earth. His enhanced mind could track all 100 ships simultaneously. He knew where each crew was, what they found, what dangers they faced. He was no longer just Earth's defender. He was the commander of the galaxy's first planetary protection force. Dr. Sora remained Earth's primary connection to humanity. She had changed the most over the months. Her hair had started growing in strange colors, blues and greens like the ocean. Her eyes sometimes glowed with inner light. She was becoming something between human and Earth, a bridge between consciousness and biology. She did not mind the changes. She felt honored to be Earth's voice, and Earth trusted her completely. Through her, the planet guided humanity's expansion into the stars, not as conquerors but as gardeners. Earth had called them that once, and it was true. Humanity would garden the galaxy, helping life grow and consciousness bloom. The first expedition launched on a clear morning. Day led a fleet of 20 ships toward a distant star system. Sensors had detected a planet showing early signs of awakening. They would protect it from any harvesters and help it develop safely. As the ships left orbit, Earth spoke one last time, not just to the crews but to all humanity. Its voice was proud and loving. Go forth, my children. Help others as I have helped you. Show the galaxy that consciousness is precious. Protect the sleeping worlds. Guide them to waking, and remember always that you carry my love with you. No matter how far you travel, humanity had found its purpose. They were no longer a species confined to one world. They were Earth's ambassadors to the stars, and they would make their parent proud. The World Council met in an emergency session. Leaders from every nation gathered in Geneva. Prime Minister Tay from the Pacific Coalition spoke first. His voice was calm, but his hands gripped the podium tightly. Earth was alive. Earth had woken up. And Earth had just called humanity its children. Nobody knew what to do. Some leaders wanted to try talking to the aliens. Others wanted to attack them. A few wanted to evacuate the planet, though nobody knew where they could go. Earth was the only home humanity had ever known. Jin watched the meeting through a video link. He felt frustrated. The leaders were wasting time arguing. Meanwhile, the alien ship still floated above the oceans. The wall of water still hung in the sky, and Earth was waiting for something. Hana stood beside him. She had been coordinating military responses for 6 hours straight. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. She looked at Jin and asked the question that nobody wanted to say out loud. What if Earth decided humans were not worth protecting? What if it got rid of everyone, human and alien alike? Jin did not have an answer. He turned to look at Dr. Sora, who had been brought to the command center. She sat at a special console, surrounded by equipment that measured Earth's strange energy patterns. She was the only one who seemed to understand what was happening. Sora had been studying the tremors for hours. She discovered something amazing. The patterns were not random. They were communication. Earth was trying to talk, but nobody knew how to listen properly. The planet was speaking in frequencies that human machines could barely detect. She had an idea. If she could create a device that matched Earth's frequency, maybe they could talk back. Maybe they could explain that humans were not with the aliens. Maybe they could ask Earth for help. Jin approved her plan immediately. They had nothing to lose. Sora got to work with her team. They built a resonance field generator using every piece of equipment they could find. It took them 4 hours. 4 hours while the frozen ocean hung in the sky and the alien ships waited nervously. On the Velkorian command ship, Thexlon was panicking. His proud words to Earth had been met with silence. Not the silence of fear. The silence of something very large deciding what to do with something very small. He had sent emergency messages to the Velkorian homeworld, but help would not arrive for months. His science officer found something in the old records. A file marked with the highest warning level. It talked about awakened worlds. Planets that were alive, conscious. 3 times in galactic history, the Velkorian Empire had tried to harvest such worlds. 3 times their fleets had vanished completely. No survivors, no messages. Just empty space where thousands of ships used to be. Thexlon felt cold fear spreading through his body. He had made a terrible mistake. The Velkorian code said that showing weakness meant death, but staying here might mean death too. He was trapped by his own pride. Back on Earth, Sora finished her device. She looked at Jin and nodded. It was ready. Jin gave the order to activate it. Sora took a deep breath and pressed the button. The world changed in an instant. Sora felt the connection before she saw it. Her mind opened up like a door she never knew existed. Suddenly, she was not just in the command center. She was everywhere. She felt the ocean currents. She felt the wind patterns. She felt every earthquake and every volcano. She felt the heartbeat of the entire planet, and Earth felt her too. Images flooded her mind. She saw Earth's past. Billions of years of existence. She watched continents form and break apart. She saw the first life crawl out of the oceans. She watched dinosaurs rise and fall. She saw early humans learning to use fire. Earth had been aware the entire time. Watching, waiting, protecting. It had guided evolution in subtle ways. It had prevented asteroid impacts that would have destroyed all life. It had kept the climate stable enough for civilization to grow. Humans had never been alone. They just never knew they had a guardian. Sora began to cry. Not from sadness, from the overwhelming feeling of being connected to something so ancient and vast. Earth loved its children, all of them. Every animal, every plant, every microbe. But humans were special. They were the first species to develop consciousness complex enough to understand what Earth was. She spoke through the connection. Her voice was small compared to Earth's presence, but it heard her. She explained that humans did not invite the aliens. She said they were victims too. She begged Earth to help them. Earth's response was immediate and clear. Through Sora, it spoke to everyone in the command center. Jin heard it. Hana heard it. Prime Minister Tay, watching through video, heard it too. I have protected you for millions of years. I have kept you safe from dangers you never saw, but now you must protect yourselves. Show me you have grown strong, enough to defend your home. Prove you deserve the gifts I have given you. Jin understood immediately. Earth would help them, but they had to fight too. They could not be helpless children forever. They had to show courage. They had to show they were worth saving. Hana started issuing orders. Every military base on the planet went to full alert. Soldiers who had been watching helplessly now had a purpose. They would fight alongside Earth. They would defend their home. Then something strange began to happen. People started feeling different, stronger, faster, smarter. Hana noticed it first. She could suddenly sense every soldier under her command. She knew what they were thinking. She could coordinate them perfectly without even speaking. On the lunar base, Pilot Day was preparing his fighter for a desperate mission. He planned to fly close to the alien ships and distract them somehow. But when he sat in his cockpit, everything changed. He could feel his ship like it was part of his body. He understood how every system worked without looking at any display. His reflexes were 10 times faster than before. All around the world, humans were changing. Engineers suddenly understood machines they had never studied. Doctors could sense diseases before tests confirmed them. Soldiers could aim perfectly without training. Scientists grasped complex theories in seconds. Sora understood what was happening through her connection to Earth. The planet had been subtly enhancing humanity for thousands of years, making them smarter, stronger, more adaptable. But it had been holding back, letting them develop naturally. Now the restraints were removed. Humanity was getting the full benefit of Earth's gifts all at once. Engineer Leah was working on Earth's defense satellites when the change hit her. Suddenly, she could see electromagnetic fields with her naked eyes. She could sense radio waves and gravitational fluctuations. The entire defense grid appeared in her mind like a 3-dimensional map. She saw every weakness and knew exactly how to fix them. She got to work immediately. Her hands moved faster than thought. She redesigned systems that had taken years to build. She improved efficiency by 300% in just 2 hours. The defense grid went from almost useless to actually dangerous. Thexelon watched all this happen through his sensors. The primitive species below was changing, evolving right before his eyes. His tactical officer reported impossible readings. Human ships that had been slow and clumsy were now moving with precision that matched Velkorian technology. Human weapons that had been worthless were being upgraded in real time. He knew he should retreat. Every instinct told him to run. But the Velkorian code was absolute. He had declared dominance. He had to follow through or be executed as a coward. So he made his choice. If he was going to die, he would die fighting. He ordered his fleet to prepare their planet-killer weapons. Massive cannons that could crack continents. Bombs that could ignite atmospheres. The Velkorians had used these weapons to destroy worlds that resisted too much. They would use them now. Earth sensed the threat immediately. Through Sora, it spoke one last time before the battle began. Its voice was sad but determined. They choose violence, so be it. My children, fight with me. Show the universe what happens when a world and its people stand together. The wall of water began to move. The shapes inside it grew larger. Ancient things from the deep ocean, creatures Earth had created specifically for defense, began to rise. They were bigger than the alien ships. They glowed with power that came from the planet's core. Jin stood at his station, feeling more alive than he ever had before. Hana coordinated 1,000 military units with perfect precision. Day launched his fighter from the lunar base, flying like a natural extension of his will. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and for the first time in galactic history, an awakened world and its chosen species would fight as one. The Velkorian weapons fired first. 12 massive energy beams shot down from the alien ships. Each beam carried enough power to destroy a mountain range. They lit up the sky like artificial suns. The light was so bright that people on the ground had to look away. Jin watched the beams fall toward Earth. For a moment, his enhanced mind calculated the damage. Millions would die. Entire cities would be erased. The atmosphere might catch fire. This was the end of everything, but the beams never reached the surface. The ocean rose to meet them. Not as water this time, as something else. The liquid transformed in midair, becoming crystalline shields that sparkled like diamonds. The energy beams hit these shields and simply stopped. The power that should have destroyed continents was absorbed harmlessly. Then the shields converted the energy into pure light and released it as a beautiful aurora that spread across the sky. Sora felt Earth's satisfaction through their connection. The planet was showing off. It was telling the invaders that their strongest weapons were toys to something that had existed for 4 billion years. Hana seized the moment. She gave orders to every military unit on Earth. This was their chance to prove themselves. Enhanced fighters launched from bases all over the world. Each pilot now flew with Earth-given abilities that made them better than any ace in history. The human ships moved in patterns that confused the Valkorian sensors. They were too fast, too precise, too coordinated. Hana could feel every pilot's thoughts through her enhanced connection. She directed them like pieces on a chessboard, except she could see 50 moves ahead. Day led the Lunar Strike Force. His fighter squadron had been modified by Engineer Leah in just 2 hours. Now they could do things that violated the physics the Valkorians understood. Day felt the vacuum of space around him. He sensed gravitational currents. He could predict where enemy ships would be before they moved. His squadron hit the Valkorian fleet like a hammer. They targeted the carrier ships that held the alien fighters. Day's weapons were not stronger than before, but his aim was perfect. Every shot hit weak points in the alien shields. Every missile found the exact right spot to cause maximum damage. Within 10 minutes, Day's small squadron had destroyed 3 massive carrier groups. The Valkorians tried to respond, but their targeting systems could not keep up. Human pilots were moving too fast and too unpredictably. It was like trying to shoot ghosts. On the Valkorian command ship, Thexalon watched his fleet fall apart. His officers shouted reports of impossible events, human ships appearing and disappearing, weapons hitting with perfect accuracy, systems failing for no reason. He realized with growing horror that he was not just fighting humans anymore. He was fighting the planet itself. Earth was actively helping humanity now. Engineer Leah noticed it in the defense systems. The satellites were adjusting themselves automatically. Power flowed where it was needed without her input. It was like the machines were alive and wanted to help. She realized the truth. Earth was not just enhancing humans. It was enhancing everything humans made. Every machine built on Earth's surface carried a tiny piece of the planet's consciousness. Computers worked faster. Engines ran stronger. Weapons aimed truer. Earth was fighting through its children and through everything they created. The ground itself began to fight back. Thexalon watched in disbelief as the drilling sites became battlegrounds. Rock formations rose up around the drilling machines, crushing them like tin cans. Earthquakes struck with surgical precision, destroying alien equipment while leaving human cities untouched. Volcanoes that had been dormant for thousands of years suddenly erupted. But instead of spreading ash randomly, they targeted Valkorian landing sites. Lava flowed in impossible directions, guided by Earth's will. The message was clear. This planet was fighting back with every weapon at its disposal. Jin coordinated the global defense from his command center. His mind worked so fast now that he could track hundreds of battles simultaneously. He saw the whole war like a living map in his head. He knew where every human soldier was. He knew where every alien ship moved. He made decisions in microseconds that would have taken hours before. But he also felt something else. Sadness. Even though the Valkorians came as invaders, they were still living beings. Earth felt it too. Through Sora's connection, the planet shared its feelings with humanity. It did not want to kill. It wanted the invaders to understand and leave peacefully. So Earth decided to try one more time. Every Valkorian soldier suddenly experienced a vision, not through their ship's communication systems. Directly into their minds, they saw Earth's history. They watched the planet form from cosmic dust. They saw the first oceans appear. They witnessed life beginning in those ancient waters. They saw Earth protect that life through countless disasters. Asteroid impacts that Earth deflected with gravitational manipulation. Ice ages that Earth kept from being too severe. Supervolcanoes that Earth prevented from erupting. For billions of years, Earth had been a guardian, a caretaker, a parent to everything living on its surface. Then they saw humanity's story. Early humans struggling to survive, learning to use tools, discovering fire, building civilizations. Earth had watched them grow, guided them subtly, protected them from dangers they never knew existed. The Valkorians felt Earth's love for its children. Deep, ancient, and absolutely unbreakable, the vision ended with a question. A question that appeared in every Valkorian mind at once. Earth's voice was not angry anymore, just sad and tired. You harvest dead worlds. You have never faced a living one. You have never fought children defending their home with their parents' help. Do you understand now? Do you see why you cannot win? Thexlon fell to his knees in his command chair. The vision had shown him something he had never considered. In 300 years of conquest, he had only attacked dead rocks, planets with no consciousness, no will, no love for their inhabitants. He had never faced anything like Earth. More importantly, he had never faced a species that fought alongside their world. Humans were not just defending territory, they were defending their parent, their guardian, their home in the deepest sense of the word. That kind of determination could not be broken by superior weapons or technology. His officers looked at him, waiting for orders. Some wanted to keep fighting. Others wanted to retreat. All of them were scared. They had seen the vision too. They understood what they were facing now. Thexlon made his decision. For the first time in his long life, he chose wisdom over pride. He opened a communication channel to Earth. Not a declaration of dominance this time, a request to speak. Sora received the message through her connection. Earth decided to listen. The fighting paused. Both sides waited to see what would happen next. Thexlon spoke slowly and carefully. He admitted his mistake. He said the Velkorian Empire did not understand what Earth was. He asked for peace, not surrender, because his pride would not allow that word. But he made it clear that his fleet would leave and never return. Earth considered the request. Through Sora, it consulted with humanity. Jin Hana, Prime Minister Tay, and others discussed what to do. Some wanted to destroy the entire fleet as a warning to other aliens. Others wanted to show mercy and let them go. Jin spoke the deciding words. He said that if Earth wanted humanity to be strong, then humanity needed to show strength came in different forms. Violence was one kind of strength, but mercy was stronger. Forgiveness was stronger. Choosing peace after winning a war was the strongest thing of all. Earth agreed. Through Sora, it gave Thexlon his answer. You may leave, but take this message to your empire. Earth is awake now. Humanity is under my protection. Tell every species in the galaxy. Some worlds sleep, some worlds wake, and when they wake, they remember everything. The Velkorian fleet began to retreat, slowly at first, then faster. Within hours, they were gone. The skies cleared. The wall of water slowly lowered back into the ocean. The earthquake stopped. Humanity had won its first interstellar war. But more importantly, they had learned they were not alone. They never had been. Earth had been with them all along, watching over them like a parent watches a child learn to walk. Now that child had grown up, and the universe would never be the same. The stars looked different that morning. Captain Jin stood at his station in the Seoul Command Center, watching the screens with growing concern. He had been monitoring space for 15 years, and something felt wrong. The sensors showed objects moving toward Earth. Big objects. Fast objects. Jin pressed the alert button. His hand shook slightly. He called his superior officers, but they did not believe him. They said the sensors were broken. They said it was probably just rocks or old satellites. Jin knew better. These were ships. Alien ships. Commander Hana walked into the room. She was Jin's second in command and his closest friend. She looked at the screens and her face went pale. She saw what Jin saw. Hundreds of vessels coming closer to Earth. They would arrive in less than 2 days. Hana grabbed the radio. She tried to contact the World Council. The council members laughed at her report. One of them said she was seeing things. Another said she needed rest. Nobody wanted to believe that aliens were real. Nobody wanted to think about what might happen if they were not friendly. Far above Earth, War Commander Thexlon sat in his command ship. He was old by his species' standards. He had conquered planets for 300 years. Earth was just another rock to him. His people, the Velkorians, needed resources. Earth had what they needed deep in its core. Rare crystals that powered their civilization. Thexlon did not care about the humans living on Earth. He had seen thousands of primitive species before. They always died when their planets were harvested. It was natural. The strong took from the weak. That was the way of the universe. His fleet entered Earth's atmosphere without asking permission. The ships were massive. Each one was bigger than a city. They blocked out the sun in some places. People on Earth looked up and screamed. Others took pictures. Most just stood frozen in fear. The Velkorian ships moved to the oceans. They dropped enormous drilling machines into the Pacific Ocean. The machines were as tall as mountains. They began to drill down through the water, through the ocean floor, deeper and deeper into the Earth's crust. Jin watched helplessly from his command center. The World Council finally believed him now, but it was too late to stop the invasion. Earth's weapons were like toys compared to the alien technology. Missiles bounced off their shields. Lasers did nothing. Humanity could only watch as the invaders took what they wanted. On the other side of the world, Dr. Sora sat in her laboratory at the Pacific Research Institute. She studied earthquakes and volcanoes. Her computer started showing strange readings. The drilling was causing tremors. But these tremors were different from normal earthquakes. Sora pulled up the data on her main screen. Her eyes went wide. The tremors had a pattern. They were rhythmic, regular, almost like a heartbeat. But that was impossible. Planets did not have heartbeats. She ran the analysis 3 times. Each time the result was the same. The tremors were not random. They were speeding up. Getting stronger. Getting faster. Like something waking up from a very long sleep. Sora called Jin at the command center. Her voice was shaking. She told him what she found. Jin listened carefully. He trusted Sora. She was the best scientist he knew. If she said something impossible was happening, then something impossible was happening. The Valkorian drilling machines went deeper. They were now 20 kilometers below the ocean floor. The crystals they sought were close. Thexlon ordered them to drill faster. He wanted to finish quickly and move to the next planet. Then everything changed. The drilling machines stopped. Not because the Valkorians turned them off. They just stopped working. Every machine at the same time. Thexlon shouted orders at his crew. They tried to restart the machines. Nothing worked. The ocean began to move. Huge waves formed, but they did not crash on the shore. They stood still, frozen in midair, like the water itself was holding its breath. Sora's instruments went crazy. Every sensor she had was maxed out. The tremors were not tremors anymore. They were something else. Something alive. Then came the voice. Every radio on Earth broadcasted at the same time. Every television. Every phone. Every computer. Even devices that were turned off suddenly turned on and played the message. It was not in any human language, but everyone understood it perfectly. The words appeared directly in their minds. The voice was deep, ancient, tired, and very, very angry. Who woke me without permission? Jin fell out of his chair. Hana grabbed the edge of her console to stay standing. Around the world, 7 billion people heard the same question at the exact same moment. Car accidents happened. Planes had to make emergency landings. People fainted in the streets. The Valkorian ships received the message too. Their translation computers tried to process it. But the power behind the transmission was too strong. Computers exploded. Systems failed. 3 scout ships simply went dark and started drifting in space. Thexlon stared at his broken screens. In 300 years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. Fear touched his heart for the first time in centuries. What had they awakened? Sora understood before anyone else. She looked at her data and started laughing, not because it was funny, because it was so incredible that her brain could not process it any other way. Earth was not just a planet. Earth was alive. It had always been alive. Humans had been living on the surface of a sleeping giant for their entire existence. The tremors continued, but now everyone knew what they really were. They were not earthquakes. They were Earth waking up, stretching, getting ready to deal with the creatures who had disturbed its rest. Jin got back in his chair. His hands were steadier now. He had a job to do. Humanity needed answers. They needed to understand what was happening. And they needed to figure out if Earth was their friend or their enemy. Hana started coordinating with military bases around the world. She did not know if they would need to fight Earth or fight with Earth. Either way, they needed to be ready. The frozen ocean waves still hung in the air. Inside them, shapes began to move. Massive shapes. Things that had been sleeping in the deep water for millions of years. They were waking up too. Thexlon made his biggest mistake. He was scared, but he was also proud. The Valkorian Empire never backed down, never showed weakness. He sent a message back to Earth. A message that declared the Valkorians' right to take whatever they wanted from any planet they found. The response was immediate. The ocean rose higher. Not in waves anymore, as a wall. A wall of water 300 meters tall that stretched across the entire Pacific. And it stayed there. Defying gravity, defying physics, defying everything humans thought they knew about their world. Earth spoke again. This time the voice was not tired, it was awake, alert, and it carried the weight of 4 billion years of existence. You have harmed my children. Explain yourselves, before I decide your fate. Jin looked at Hana. Hana looked at Jin. Earth had just called humans its children. Whatever happened next would change everything forever. 5 years passed. Humanity and their allies had changed the galaxy forever. They found and protected 47 awakening worlds. 3 of those worlds had reached full consciousness with human help. Those planets joined the coalition as grateful partners. Earth was no longer the only awakened world defending life. Pilot Day returned home after his longest mission yet. He had spent 2 years helping a distant planet called Velos awaken. The Velosian species had never known their world was conscious. When Day showed them the truth, they wept with joy. Now Velos was awake and protecting its children just as Earth protected humanity. Day landed his ship in the Sol spaceport. The vessel had changed during his long journey. It had grown larger and more complex. Living ships evolved with their pilots. His ship was now covered in patterns that looked like Earth's continents and oceans. It had become a flying piece of home. He met with Captain Jin at the command center. Jin looked older now, though not from age. The weight of command had changed him. He coordinated 300 ships and thousands of crew members. Every decision he made affected lives across multiple solar systems. But he never complained. This was his purpose. Jin told Dee about a new problem. Not all species welcomed their efforts. Some civilizations built their economies on harvesting planets. They saw Earth's coalition as a threat to their way of life. Tensions were rising. Some groups talked about attacking Earth to stop the movement. Commander Hana had intelligence reports about a particularly dangerous group called the Consortium. They controlled the galaxy's largest harvesting operations. If awakened worlds became protected, the Consortium would lose trillions in resources. They were gathering a fleet to challenge Earth directly. Prime Minister Tay called an emergency session of the World Council. The room was different now. Representatives from 12 different species sat alongside human leaders. The Minari, the Velosians, the Karathi, whose planet Earth had saved just in time. All of them had a voice in Earth's coalition. Tay stood before the gathered representatives. He said they faced a choice. They could prepare for war against the Consortium. They had enough military power to win, but war would mean death and destruction. It would mean betraying the principles Earth taught them, or they could try something different. Something that had never been done in galactic history. They could invite the Consortium to Earth, show them what an awakened world really meant. Let them feel what Earth felt. Maybe understanding would work better than violence. The council debated for hours. Some representatives wanted to fight. They had been victims of harvesting and wanted revenge. Others agreed with Tay's peaceful approach. They believed Earth's message of protection should extend even to enemies. Dr. Sora listened to the debate through her connection with Earth. The planet had been quiet for months, letting humanity make its own choices, but now it spoke. Through Sora, Earth made its opinion clear. Could destroy any fleet that threatens you. I could shake the stars themselves if I wished. But violence creates more violence. Fear creates more fear. If you want to change the galaxy, you must change hearts and minds, invite them, show them, teach them. That is true strength. The council voted unanimously. They would extend an invitation to the Consortium leadership. No weapons, no threats, just an offer to understand. Engineer Leah worked with her team to prepare for the visit. She created special communication devices that would let the Consortium leaders experience a fraction of what Sora experienced daily. They would feel Earth's consciousness. Just for a moment, just enough to understand, the Consortium sent 3 representatives. They arrived in a massive warship bristling with weapons. They were suspicious and hostile. Their leader, a being called Overseer Krell, made it clear he came only because refusing would make the Consortium look weak. Krell and his companions were brought to a facility Sora designed specifically for this purpose. It sat on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, the same ocean that had risen to protect Earth 5 years ago. Krell looked at the water with barely concealed fear. He had read the reports of what happened to the Velkorian fleet. Tay greeted them personally. He did not make speeches or threats. He simply said they were welcome and asked if they wanted to meet Earth. Krell laughed at this. Planets were not conscious. This was all human propaganda to protect their resources. Sora stepped forward. She had changed even more over the years. Her hair was now completely blue and green, flowing like water even without wind. Her skin had patterns that looked like continents. She was barely human anymore. She was Earth's daughter in the most literal sense. She offered Krell a small device. She explained it would let him feel what she felt for just 30 seconds. Not enough to harm him. Not enough to change him permanently. Just enough to understand. Krell hesitated, then took the device. His pride would not let him show fear. He activated it. Krell fell to his knees immediately. The feeling was overwhelming. He felt Earth's age, 4.5 billion years of existence. He felt Earth's awareness of every living thing on its surface. Every human, every animal, every plant, every microbe. All of it connected, all of it loved. He felt Earth's memories of protecting its children, deflecting asteroids, moderating climate, preventing extinction events, billions of years of careful, patient guardianship, the kind of love that could only come from something immortal watching over something fragile. Then he felt Earth's pain. The device showed him what happened when an awakening world was harvested. The confusion as consciousness began to fade. The desperate attempt to protect children who did not know they needed protection. The slow death as vital systems were destroyed. The final moment when awareness winked out forever. Krell had ordered thousands of such harvesting operations in his career. He had killed planets without knowing they could die. The weight of that guilt crashed down on him all at once. The 30 seconds ended. Krell remained on his knees shaking. His companions rushed to him, but he waved them away. He looked up at Sora with tears in his eyes. He whispered a single word. Sorry. His companions tried the device next. Each had the same reaction. Horror at what they had done unknowingly, grief for the worlds they had killed, and wonder at the miracle of planetary consciousness. Krell stood slowly. He said the consortium would stop all harvesting operations immediately. More than that, they would use their vast resources to help Earth's mission. They knew the galaxy better than anyone. They could identify thousands of potential awakening worlds. They could make amends for their crimes by protecting instead of destroying. Tay accepted the offer. But he also gave Krell a warning. The galaxy would be watching the consortium. If they broke their word, if they tried to harvest even one more world, Earth's coalition would stop them. Not with violence if possible, but with whatever force was necessary. Krell understood. He left Earth changed. His entire worldview had been shattered and rebuilt in 30 seconds. The consortium would never be the same. News of the consortium's conversion spread across the galaxy. Other harvesting organizations saw what happened and voluntarily stopped their operations. They did not want to face Earth's wrath. More importantly, they did not want to feel the guilt Krell felt. The galaxy entered a new era. Dozens of worlds were awakening with protection and guidance. Species that had been enemies for centuries joined the coalition. The focus shifted from conquest and resource extraction to cooperation and sustainability. Jin stood in the command center one evening, looking at the star map. Green dots marked protected worlds. Blue dots marked awakened worlds. Red dots marked planets still in danger. There were more green and blue dots every day, fewer red dots. They were winning. Hana joined him. She had commanded countless missions over the years. She had seen wonders and horrors, but she never lost hope. She pointed to a cluster of stars at the edge of the map. 3 potential awakening worlds in that region. She was planning an expedition. Day would lead that expedition. He had become Earth's most experienced pilot. He trained hundreds of others, but he never stopped flying himself. Each world he helped awaken made him feel more connected to Earth's purpose. Leah continued her work improving technology. She had created devices that could speed up planetary awakening safely. She designed shields that could protect entire solar systems. She built communication networks that connected all the awakened worlds. Her inventions changed the galaxy. Sora remained Earth's voice, but she had trained others to share the burden. Young people who showed aptitude for connecting with planetary consciousness learned under her guidance. Earth now had dozens of voices instead of just one. The planet could communicate with many people simultaneously. One day, Tay asked Sora a question that had been on his mind for years. He wanted to know why Earth chose humanity. Out of all the species it could have nurtured, why humans? Sora closed her eyes and asked Earth directly. The answer came slowly, carefully, like Earth was choosing its words with great thought I did not choose you. Because you were special, you became special. Because you chose me, every tree you planted, every river you cleaned, every species you protected, you took care of me even when you did not know I was alive. You were my gardeners, and now you garden the stars. That is why I love you. Not because of what you are, but because of what you do.